Thank you for coming back to another Tony Montana video. Today we will talk a bit about prey drive and gameness. I found this article online and want to share it with you. Tony Montana does not agree or disagree with the article. Tony wants the listener to determine that for themselves. Remember that all the content in my channel is meant for educate and entertain. We love the American Pit Bull Terrier and respect its history. Now on to the article. As a biology teacher with 2 degrees in animal sciences and with considerable amount of time studying genetics, behavior, and endocrinology, here is my opinion on the matter of gameness and also the so-called fight drive. If drives and tunnel vision were the only thing required for gameness, the malign would be just as game-bred APBTs, but guess what, they ain't even close. There is more to maintaining the willingness of combat than drives. Fight is more than just forwardness of prey and intensity of defense. You also need pain tolerance, and I believe a maintained adrenaline dump as well. Otherwise, explain to me why malign cannot hang with the APBT when it comes to intense physical combat, even though the mal certainly has plenty of drive. When I say 99% of the time a dog catching a hog, it is working in prey drive, that is because 99% of the time the catch dog is just working a rough, tough, durable, and violent prey animal equipped with weapons, tusks, that happens to be able to test the dog's grit, and, well, that's all there is to it. The same is true for lions. Killing an elephant, but it is still prey drive. Very rarely does a hog put a dog in defense. When it does, guess what happens? The dog quits hunting. Now, we have people say, "Oh, Lee, your dogs are curs, ha ha ha, all flow. Good luck finding one quit, guys." Before you can say that, you will need to get one of my dogs to engage a hog and then quit, so back to the point. Maybe it should be called predator drive, but whatever. That's just semantics, and it isn't worth arguing. Prey drive and catch work are both the desire to hunt. Dogs don't hunt when they are in defense. Defense is about defending one's self, one's pack, one's territory, or one's possession, such as a prey item from a challenger, etc. Defense is not about hunting. Defense is about protecting something from some type of threat or perceived threat. Rank is a type of defense, a defense of position in the pack. Pack instinct is the desire to be with the group. According to behavioral ecology, ecology, ethology, and evolution, a drive is any behavior that is expressed for the preservation for oneself or the species. As a result, one may have a hard time defining fight as a drive, since fight would cause death should one wish to seek conflict in the natural world. And if you do wish to define it as a drive, it certainly isn't an exclusive and separate drive in of itself anyway, not in nature. In a natural world, fight may only be connected with defense, hence the fight, flight, or freeze response, and the animal only chooses the fight response to a threat/defensive situation when 1. It is sure it can defeat the opposition, or 2. When the risk of self-sacrifice is worth it, if you accept that altruism actually exists in nature. Why? Well, in nature, it is essential to never sustain injury greater than the reward. Any drive that causes self-termination would therefore be selected against and disappear, and go extinct. For this reason, in nature, fighting is best left as a last resort. So, one could say, in nature, perhaps fight may just be defense, or is it? But it is forward, so is it balanced with prey too? I believe for this exact reason why 99% of the accomplished trainers don't buy into fight drive, and honestly, I am 100% okay with them describing fight drive as nothing more than an illusion or myth best represented as a condition, or cocktail as some put it, where the dog balances well and works with the forwardness of prey and the intensity of defense. That said, in a domesticated world though, that may not be the case. That said, I personally believe artificial selection via man's intervention to save the gladiator from death after the anomalies put it all on the line. Did this process of performance testing allow people to identify and save individuals produced an unusual or unnatural adrenaline, epinephrine, hormonal response and sustained that response throughout the combat instead of just at the beginning of the stress? Did these game individuals have more than just an initial adrenaline dump like most people experience in a fight, flight, or freeze situation? This is where I think we find fight drive in the game dog, and this is where I find the game dog to be superior to the herders. Herders are certainly more intelligent, malleable, and trainable, but they have nowhere near the physical abilities in terms of power and pain tolerance that the gladiators have. It should also be noted that most gladiators type dogs are not really game-bred dogs. Too many such dogs live on myths of the Roman Colosseum. Protection dogs are not game-bred either, and certainly do not have the fight drive or gameness I am giving reference to. That said, I also believe fight drive and gameness are so rare in canines that very few people understand them, rare enough that it is almost pointless to even talk about them, because I find those that generally talk about game dogs wouldn't know a game-bred dog if it was standing in front of them, and so at times I feel like, what's the point in discussing this? However, the point is, directional selection within a population causes changes in genetics over time, where things in domesticated populations do not always follow the same rules that we observe in nature, especially since we can intervene not only with performance testing and breeding selection, but also with medical intervention as needed to save individuals that we desire, should they have an experience that would typically cost them their life. So what does this have to do with fight drive? We have all experienced prey drive, the desire to chase something. We have all experienced defense drive, the desire to protect something, to stop a threat. But, most of us have also experienced being upset, and wanted to chase someone when we were upset. Was it defense if we were hunting them? Was it prey if we were upset? Was it balanced of prey and defense? Maybe, but it didn't last, it passed, and time let it go and we survived, but the game dog, well, he doesn't, he runs to his death, and gives all. Why is Mississippi State University called the Bulldogs? Legends tell us that the bulldog gave all, no matter the cost, they were always willing and always ready for combat. Why did they always choose to go forward? With the fight, flight, or freeze response, epinephrine is dumped in many species, but the degree changes. I am not inventing a new drive. I am only labeling a condition like the cocktail other trainers referred to above, except I am saying, this cocktail doesn't really occur in nature at a consistent basis because it self-terminates in nature. In a domesticated population though, we could select for it if save the individuals that show us they choose to move forward once they are placed into the fight, flight, or freeze response. This is where drive selection may beat nerve selection. Nerves is important, don't get me wrong. A dog with weak nerves will quit early, especially if it isn't loaded up. You can get that weak-nerved dog to quit by just spooking it or dominating it, but even a weak-nerved dog may work for a while if the dog has good drives after the dog is loaded up. Fix that dog's nerves in the breeding, and you may end up better off, but this takes generations. Why do I say this? Well, when you have the adrenal response of combat in defense don't have expression of the side effects of defense that you have without the adrenal response. That said, take a dog with good nerves but no drives, you're not going very far. Some people may say, I trained a dog with no drives, I just had to push it harder to start it. Well, that is called threshold. The dog just had a hard trigger to turn the drives on, but the drives were there, you just didn't know it. No drive, no work. You gotta have drive or you don't have any motive. Now, back to the topic, fight drive and the emotional state of mind. You may disagree, but think about the last time you got mad or happy. Adrenaline is connected with emotion, extreme fear or extreme joy. Your awkwardness and nervousness was before you got mad or happy. Stress leaves during these elevated emotions. Before you are mad or happy you may be stressed, but once you are mad or happy, you no longer feel that stress. A dog working in prey is not stressed, unless it is physically exhausted, heat or energy. A dog working in defense though is very stressed. A dog working in fight, though, they aren't stressed. They are comfortable and forward like prey, but intense and fighting like defense. Sounds like defense, but with adrenaline, which may happen in nature, but is not frequent or sustained, because if it was, they would self-terminate. Study on game dogs and you will find that they are not stressed during combat, not until they decide to quit. Did their adrenal glands stop making epinephrine? You certainly don't see this behavior typically expressed very often in non-combat species. You do not see fight drive in the natural world either. You may see prey, defense, rank, etc. But not fight for the sake of fighting though, because they would sustain fetal injury and not receive medical intervention. Perhaps it is still there, but only expressed in small doses so we don't detect it. But in a domesticated world where man saves them, these dedicated anomalies may build populations of stable guard dogs. The article was written by American Sentinel. The following is additional information from comments made on the subject. Brandon Phillips stated, behavioral ecologist Dr. Ray Coppinger's work allows us to understand these behaviors very well. All dogs derive their working behavior from a predatory sequence as follows. Orient, I, stalk, chase, grab, bite, kill, bite, dissect and consume. To understand why gameness can exist in the first place, one needs to understand that Coppinger's work has shown us that this predatory sequence has its own internal reward system that is different from the reward of food, energy to reproduce and survive. For example, a dog doesn't consciously decide it's hungry and therefore initiate the predatory sequence to eat. Rather, it initiates the predatory sequence because each of those behaviors in the sequence feel good and therefore performing that behavior is its own reward. Artificial selection, breeding programs, can eliminate or exaggerate the behaviors involved in the predatory sequence, which is where a particular breed's behavioral conformation comes from. A catch dog clearly has hypertrophied grab-bite behavior in the predatory sequence, making the stimulus far more enjoyable than any deterrent of physical pain or exhaustion. When you begin to understand these behaviors for what they are, it opens the door to understanding gameness more fully. Mr. Richard Garcia aka Schoolboy stated, "You made some valid points, but a couple of things should be addressed. Prey drive or predatory drive are only semantics as you stated, and they are good traits for our breed to have, but they are not forms of gameness, nor should they be construed as such. Gameness, as we know it, is not a natural instinct, and as I believe it is a lack of self-preservation or a lack of the instinct for survival, or as some believe it is done for self-preservation or survival. Whichever the case it is a man-made or man-influenced instinct, because most animals will not fight to the death or even fight for sustained periods of time like a pit bull will, and a pit bull will do it because it's in their nature and don't need a reason to do so other than because they want to. Any sporting or working animal display forms of gameness related to what they do, but the pit bull is the only breed of canine that displays gameness in the manner they do for the reasons they do it. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button and subscribe to the Tony Montana channel. Until next time.